Motion approved, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes are adopted. Item number one under new business, approval of disbursement from District One Improvement Fund. Boys and Girls Club Capital Campaign, $500. Councilman Wilson.
Yes, sir. As you know, the Boys and Girls Club are preparing to, gearing up for their capital campaign, and I would like to give toward that project. Many of our children in our district are going to be going to Boys and Girls Clubs. We want to support them by aiding in that project.
Are there any questions? For a motion?
Motion.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item is approved. Number two, Councilman Wilson, you're up also.
Yes, sir.
Tuscaloosa Career Technology Academy Educator Retreat Program, $600.
Yes, sir. As our teachers prepare to meet our children, the Tuscaloosa Career and Technology Academy is gearing up to meet them, and I wanted to support those educators as they prepare by supporting an event at the school with this $600 as they prepare for the first day of school at TCTA, which is a great academy. If you don't want to go to college, career readiness is the way to go.
Motion. Might make more money.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item is
Might
approved.
make a lot more money.
Number three, Councilman Wilson, you're on the roll. Disbursement from District One.
Yes,
Back school supply giveaway, bags in bulk and backpack.
Yes, sir. Last year I gave to the backpack initiative $500 with Ms. Pamela Rogers, and they did a great job in giving academic backpacks and things of that nature, and the things that go in the backpacks for our children. And I would also like to continue to do that, as well as supply a bags in bulk to put things within those backpacks, which come to a total of $994.40.
Okay, remind me, Ms. Sanders, I think we discussed, are we giving a check to somebody to buy the items, or?
So the bags in bulk, the bags in bulk will be, Vicky will do a
She'll
purchase
make a
order.
call and put it on her
Yes,
debit
sir.
card?
And that will be for at least 600 students. I'm working with some other businesses within the district to have a back to school rally for young people. And then the backpack initiative is a separate gifting.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
anybody?
A motion.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item three is approved. Number four, Councilman Lanier.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask
Yeah,
a question? And Mr. Holmes, this is probably for you or Ms. Standridge. When one of us requests to spend district funds, and this has nothing to do with Councilman Wilson, but
Okay.
when we request to do this, if I did next week, you guys vet that before, or someone would raise their hand and say, we don't need to be doing this,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Right, it's not
Before-
on here without
Without
legal scroll
y'all- Okay.
and committee chairman's approval.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with Mr. Wilson. I just want to make sure that's this would have been for Mr. Lanier, I guess.
No, it would have been for me.
Yeah.
Item number four, Councilman Lanier.
Yeah, just,
See if you're awake.
we just got a backpack giveaway with, partner with Impact Nation, Epsilon, we're gonna do it, July 27th, so.
Same question, are y'all buying the supplies or giving a check to somebody to buy the supplies?
Yeah, we're giving a check to, the profit by the supply.
Any
Motion.
questions or comments?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item number four is approved. Item number five. We begin to wade down into agency funding hearings. We've got, Tara here today. We've got Tuscaloosa County Economic Development Authority. Welcome. Thank you. Both sides of justice. Where's
He's over there.
You
You may stand up and heckle him.
Sit back there where I can
He's
see.
hot. He's
Sit
hiding.
somewhere where I can see. Welcome. We're putting the horse not in front of the cart, but certainly up ahead a little bit. We're gonna be really pressed for time on budget proposal, through August and September. So we've asked to go ahead and start to get, at a minimum, the big 4 or 5 in to hear from y'all when we can, do it in a fairly measured way. So welcome. We look forward to hearing what's going on with you and what you need our help on.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, as always, to be before the committee. We appreciate the city's support and you're a vital partner in everything that we do. I want to talk a little bit about what I said we were going to do last year, and then what we did to fulfill those promises and obligations, and then talk a little bit about what we intend to do here in the future. So, just a quick overview of the agenda. We'll talk about project activity, business retention and expansion, some site development and acquisition, our focus on knowledge-based jobs, talent retention and recruitment efforts, and then our future priorities. And then if there's time, I'm happy to answer any questions that the committee may have. So last year I told you that we were going to be more deliberate in seeking engagement with the Alabama Department of Commerce and other external allies such as the power company, other utility providers, transportation companies like the railroads. Since that, we've implemented a more strategic sense of calling on all of our partners. That's led to a steady increase in projects. This year alone, just year to date, we've generated 50 leads and converted 32 of those into active projects. That's a 28% increase in project activity over last year alone. We're currently working 16 active projects. Those projects represent in excess of 2,200 potential new jobs and $2.2 billion in capital investment. We also have more leads in the pipeline that we're not quite ready to determine that those are qualified, active projects, but we do have more leads in the pipeline. This is just a snapshot of the 16 active projects that we have here. As you can see, about half a dozen of those we are finalists for. I feel pretty good about our chances with 3 or 4 of those finalist projects, and then the other ones are just a little too early on. We've completed RFIs or RFPs for the remaining 10. About half of those have determined that they are interested in Tuscaloosa, and we'll be having a site visit sometime in the coming months. And then the bottom 5 are just still very early on. I mean, one of those, for example, Deep South, we got the RFI that was due on Friday. So we've got a healthy list of projects that we're working on right here, and you can see there's a diversity in the types of industry sectors that are represented here. Also want to talk about the focus that we have on business retention and expansion. Not only are we interested in bringing in new companies, but we want to demonstrate to the existing companies that we're here to support them in everything that they do. It does us no good if we recruit a company to Tuscaloosa and then just leave them to their own devices. We want to do things that are going to help them grow and expand and hire more of our people. Right. Mm-hmm. And also, it demonstrates to the companies that we are trying to recruit that you have a partner in this community. And once you come here, we're going to do everything that we can to help you be successful. So I told you we do this for a few primary reasons. Selfishly, it sends a signal out to prospects, but it also demonstrates to the companies that are here that we want them to be engaged. So year to date, again, just from January to today, we've called on 25 local companies, 125 existing industry reps have been reached. We've uncovered several opportunities for expansion. One, I expect that we will be close to announcing local expansion in the next 2 or 3 months. A company came before our review and executive committee last week. We've got a couple of things we have to iron out for that project to get across the finish line, but I'm pretty confident that we can make those things happen. Again, but in the last year, we had over $270 million in existing industry expansion projects. So the strategy is working, and we want to be able to continue those things. One of the things that enable us to be successful is having marketable industrial property, whether that's a greenfield site, brownfield, an existing building that we can put somebody in. But not unlike a lot of other communities in the state, in fact, probably most communities in the state, Alabama and Tuscaloosa has been a bit of a victim of its own success in the sense that if you've got a really beautiful site that's suitable for industrial use, you've probably already got a factory on it. So we're always looking for ways to enhance the property that we have under our control, or option other property that's in private hands, or find ways to redevelop property. One of the ways that we did that was through securing a $2 million Growing Alabama tax credit grant. Originally, this grant was we applied for this to put a rail spur into the airport industrial park. Well, the project that we were initially going for has kind of been put on hold, but we do have a one of the companies that we listed as a finalist on the deck a moment ago has identified this property as their finalist site.
Hmm.
And if the project is successful, that is where they're going to go. They've identified the U.S. Department of Energy, for example, that they are going to go to Tuscaloosa should they be successful in getting a DOE grant. So we have a commitment from the Alabama Department of Commerce to amend our original agreement so that we can use those $2 million for that project rather than putting in a rail spur that this new industry does not need. So there are a couple of other things that we can talk about as it relates to the Growing Alabama Tax Credit Program, but that's something that I'm very grateful to the state legislature and the governor's office for their leadership and their creativity in putting in a tax credit program like this that allows us to enhance our existing industrial property. We've also successfully negotiated an intergovernmental transfer of 112 acres from the State Department of Mental Health. This is the old S.D. Allen Mental Health Hospital near the airport. It's immediately adjacent to 156 acres that's already owned by TCEDA. So that gives us, approximately 270 acres of contiguous property that we can market. There are some environmental remediation that needs to take place. There are 17 structures on that property that those buildings need to be raised. There's some lead-based paint issues, some asbestos, things like that. But the prospect that has identified this site as a location is fully aware of those things, and they're not deterred. So again, we feel pretty optimistic about that project. And the great thing is, when you have an intergovernmental transfer, I think we paid $100 to the Department of Mental Health for that property. So it's really 112 acres, and we've got practically nothing. We're just responsible for whoever the new industry is will be responsible for the environmental remediation. So again, that's a great deal for us. There's also a new piece of legislation, relatively new in the last 12 or 18 months, called the SEEDS Act. This is the Site Evaluation and Economic Development Strategy Act. This allows for local EDOs like us or cities or counties to pursue state funding to do site assessment work, due diligence work, or even site acquisition and enhancement. The trick is, in order to go after the really big money, you have to already have the due diligence work completed. So we were awarded $62,000 to do the due diligence work at the Airport Industrial Park. We did that for a couple of reasons. Number one, it will show to the speed to market for prospective industries. More and more often, when we get requests from site selectors or companies, they're asking us, do you have your phase 1 environmental studies complete? Do you have your wetlands mitigations complete? They want to know that the due diligence has been done so they can inform their clients that they can get to speed to market, shovel-ready sites, so on and so forth. So that's one thing. But the second thing is it will also allow us to pursue larger sums of money from the state. So now that we have the assessment work underway, we can then go after larger dollars that can be used to grade sites, make them pad ready, whatever the opportunity of the day may be. And then also we're constantly looking for new property. Like we did with the Department of Mental Health, we're looking for property that we could potentially engage with another intergovernmental transfer, or maybe there are some tax benefits that private owners can realize if they were to transfer property to our control. We'll also obviously be willing to purchase property or at least option property. Going back to the SEEDS Act, we don't have to necessarily own the property to take advantage of these government resources from the state. If we have an exclusive option, for example, with a property owner, we can still go after some funding to acquire those properties and also enhance them. Last year I talked about the importance of knowledge-based jobs. Historically, our organization has been primarily focused on industrial recruitment, manufacturing. That obviously drives the economy. But as the economy changes and there's more and more of an emphasis on innovation, entrepreneurship, and high tech, not to mention the resources that are available in Tuscaloosa with our partners in higher education, this was an area that we really wanted to focus on. So we know that we had to rapidly adjust and adapt to the changing economy. So one of the ways that we did that was, again, much like the Growing Alabama Tax Credit Program, we were able to raise $2.4 million in tax credits through the Innovate Alabama Tax Credit. It functions exactly the same way, except the focus is less on industrial projects and more on high-tech innovation and entrepreneurship. So after we were able to raise the $2.4 million, we were able to recruit, with the help of other partners, Techstars. And I think most of you are familiar with this project, but just as a refresher, Techstars is the largest pre-seed investor and accelerator operator in the world. They were founded about 15 years ago in Boulder, Colorado, and since that time they have helped accelerate around 4,000 companies in 50 different countries. Tuscaloosa is by far the smallest market where they have ever had a presence. Until Tuscaloosa, Birmingham was by far the smallest market where they've had a presence. So these are cities that I would refer to normally as the NFL cities of America: New York, Chicago, LA. They're in Paris and London and a bunch of other places around the world. But the thing that attracted them to Tuscaloosa was our interest in water technology and sustainability. The University of Alabama, as you all are probably very well aware, has a tremendous focus on water research. So the Water Institute, which houses the Global Water Security Center, they study hydrology and water quality, water quantity. There are federal assets in Tuscaloosa with NOAA and the soon-to-be-open USGS hydrologic instrumentation facility, which I hope that you'll have a chance to tour that next month during the grand opening. It is a truly impressive facility and something that sets Tuscaloosa apart from any other city in the world. I've talked to people who know way more about water than I do. I've learned more about water than I ever thought I would over the last year or so. But the thing that sets us apart is that there's nowhere else on the planet that has the cumulative assets that we have in Tuscaloosa, with the National Water Center, with NOAA, the Hydrologic Instrumentation Facility, the Alabama Water Institute, the potential for cutting-edge research with the faculty and staff at UA, and not to mention the workforce pipeline with the students at the undergraduate and graduate level at UA. So the opportunities are immense. Part of the Techstars program was we did a pre-accelerator program, which is a non-equity based program where 20 companies were recruited from around the world to come to Tuscaloosa for a week, to participate in a founder catalyst and pre-accelerator program. And then just last week, we finalized the 12 companies that will be selected for the true accelerator, which kicks off in 2 months. Each company that participates will receive around $120,000, some in cash, some in the form of a convertible debt note. But in exchange for that, they give up 6 to 8% equity in their company. And it's a great deal for everybody. These startup companies get business development coaching, mentorship. They get some cash up front to help them jumpstart their business, and then they get access to the global Techstars network of entrepreneurs and investors. What the investors locally get is stake in companies that are in high growth sectors. These are really remarkable groups, and I'll be happy when we have more time to walk you through each of the 12 companies that we have selected. I could not be more thrilled with the quality of the companies that are going to be participating beginning in September. But just so you're aware, Techstars, I mentioned they've helped accelerate 4,000 companies around the world since their founding. The cumulative market cap of those companies is in excess of $115 billion.
That's right.
So they know how to pick winners, and they have the means to really help grow. We think that this is something that can help convince graduates of our universities to stay in Tuscaloosa, perhaps start their own companies or go work for one of these companies. And really, we want to foster an ecosystem and culture in Tuscaloosa for innovation. The state has placed a premium on this. And frankly, going back to our issue with marketable industrial sites, if we're going to be less likely to, if we don't have the property necessarily to recruit larger manufacturers, might this be an alternate strategy for us to create high-paying, high-tech jobs in our community, jobs that will raise the quality and standard of living for all of our people. These are the locations where the companies are coming from. You see there are several in the southeast, others in New York, Michigan, and New Hampshire. We also have an international presence with Pakistan, United Kingdom, Lebanon, South Korea, and Nigeria. So this is a great way for us to expose people from all over the world to our community. What our hope is that when these 12 companies come, they'll get access and exposure to elected officials, business leaders, local mentors, local investors, and they'll realize what we realize about Tuscaloosa, is that it's a great place to do business and a great place to live. Hopefully, a couple of these companies will choose to locate here permanently. And that's the ultimate goal, is that we get companies that'll stay in Tuscaloosa, and if not in Tuscaloosa, hopefully some location in Alabama. We're certainly doing everything we can to make sure that Tuscaloosa is their home. And we think that we have plenty of other opportunities. I mentioned the HIF, and that's opening in August, but you might have read recently that the University of Alabama is also has just announced an artificial intelligence and machine learning research center. They're also going to have a high-performance computing center that will be opening. It's a $100 million investment. So there are all kinds of things that are kind of setting the table for success in the knowledge-based sector here in Tuscaloosa. Talent recruitment and retention. I was joking with somebody the other day. I read a report that the talent wars are on and the talent has already won. So everybody's fighting for talent right now. Last year we had just launched the 8-week Fuel Alabama program. We partnered with, of course, the City of Tuscaloosa staff, City of Northport, Tuscaloosa County, Chamber of Commerce, Visit Tuscaloosa. And I want to pause for a second and just say how vital all of these partners are to our success. Economic development is without a doubt a team sport, and you have to be able to collaborate and work well with one another. And I just want to say how fortunate we are as an organization to have such willing and able partners in our community, because it makes our job a lot more fun, but also a little bit easier too when you bring all these different skill sets and assets to the table. So, but going back, so last year we were one of 7 communities that participated in this program. About the same number are participating this year. We've got roughly 40 interns, and following the completion of the program last year, the Economic Development Partnership of Alabama recognized the Tuscaloosa program as the model for the rest of the state. And that goes back to the good teammates that we had in putting together a worthwhile curriculum for the people that were participating in the fuel program. So one of the things that has come about from that is that we were able to secure additional funding for a pilot program for not just an 8-week summer internship program where we expose students to service, social, and professional opportunities in Tuscaloosa, but we want to do a pilot program that is year-round, where we get the students from, fuck my hands a little bit.
We'll develop that from the agency.
Well, good thing I only asked for $2 million.
Good deal.
So we want to partner with all of the universities in Tuscaloosa to expose the students to things they might not otherwise experience just as a normal college student. So professional development, social, and service opportunities. So that program is being developed right now. We hope to kick it off in January, but we have secured funding already for that. Innovate Alabama is another great partner at the state level, as well as EDPA. And so finally, what I want to talk about is our future priorities. I hope that I've been able to demonstrate that we've got a lot going on at our office. And so we do have some staff needs. There are 3 potential positions that I would like to explore hiring. Number 1 would be somebody who focuses exclusively on business retention and expansion. We've got 1 project manager, a business development director right now, but he's working a lot of projects too. So if we have somebody that's just going out, working day in and day out with existing businesses, in and out of plants, understanding what their needs and resources are, or needs and challenges are, we can bring resources to bear that will be helpful to them. It's also becoming increasingly difficult with the global marketplace to vet international prospects. So having somebody with a research background who can look into the companies, particularly if there are political considerations, if there are companies that we may be concerned with that are from foreign entities of concern, FDMC countries, that would be something that would be helpful. And then finally, this is kind of a growing trend in our business. There more and more chambers of commerce and local EDOs are hiring younger staff members that are focused on talent retention and recruitment efforts, trying to get college students, not just from Tuscaloosa, not just from our local universities, but from other universities around our region to come here. And explaining to them the opportunities that exist for employment and quality of life here. So those are three things that I'm very interested in hiring in our office. Property acquisition and improvements, obviously, we need assistance with that. Not just financial assistance, but sometimes these grants require matching funds, which we obviously have to come up with one way or another. And then also just your knowledge of your information. If you have constituents that in your area that may have property that they're looking to sell or develop, we're always interested in hearing about that. We only have so much bandwidth, so the more eyes and ears we can have in the community, the better for us. We want to be good stewards of the resources that we have. I think that we have been over the last 2 years, almost 2 years since I've been in this role. We've sold property recently. We've tried to put those in interest-bearing accounts so that we can make some money for our organization that can be reinvested when new property comes available that we want to purchase or develop. We realize that the vast majority of the funding that we have comes from the city of Tuscaloosa and Tuscaloosa County Commission and Northport. And somebody worked hard for those dollars. And so we want to be very mindful of how we spend those dollars. So continuing to be good stewards of the resources we have. We want to continue to build on the collaboration that we have in this community, working with you, providing quarterly or at least timely briefings, not just when I need money. So doing that along with our other partners in the community that I've already mentioned. And then finally, there's a new statewide strategic plan that's being developed that you should be aware of. There have been some changes in the Department of Commerce over the last 8 months or so. You may recall Secretary Canfield left the position as Commerce Secretary after about a dozen years to pursue an opportunity in the private sector, and his replacement is Ellen McNair, formerly of the Montgomery Chamber of Commerce. Ellen is one of the top 5 economic developers all time in the history of our state, and so she is incredibly capable and very savvy. So one of the things that Governor Ivey tasked her to do was to come up with a strategic plan for the state. And I had an opportunity to hear the first draft of that plan yesterday. They're going around the state right now doing listening sessions to get input from local communities. And what I heard yesterday was incredibly encouraging. These are the targeted sectors that the state of Alabama wants to focus on. And I would challenge you to find, one that we can't find some way to slip into. Obviously, mobility with Mercedes and the automobile industry that we have here. Certainly, the AMP Center at the University of Alabama helps us with that. Agriculture and food, we've got a couple of projects already working like that. Forestry and wood products, the same thing. Chemical manufacturing, metal and advanced materials, bioscience, and then core IT. So I think that we are very well positioned as a community to take advantage of the new statewide strategic plan. I think that since these are the types of projects that we're going to be seeing more and more of, it's just good for us to kind of lean into that. We already have some expertise in these areas from the existing industries in our area. So again, I think that we've got a pretty bright future ahead. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Justin. I appreciate it. So, and it's kind of small, but I think I get it. Y'all's total budget is projected for next year, 2.5 million.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we would be putting in, if we meet your ask from us is 465. That's up a little bit from last year, not big. And then out of that, call it 2.6 that y'all anticipate for the year, I think you're expecting to spend nearly 3 million, so you're coming up 400 short, and you're pulling that out of reserves.
We do. We have a fee account in our organization. There are assessment fees that are charged to companies that appear before us. That, along with we have some rental income. We sell property from time to time. We have a few interest-bearing accounts. But yeah, if there is a shortfall, we do have reserves where we could pull
What do you have in reserves?
I think we've got, I think our total assets are somewhere in the $5 million range.
Uh,
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out that $1.5 million of that revenue is total pass-through money that just comes
well,
through
my
the.
next question,
Well,
what
that-
is that
that's
Mercedes
the
pass-through?
money that the
And
three,
and
the city and the county and Northport,
yes,
they give to Mercedes for them locating here.
that was from Project
So
Crimson.
that has nothing to do with the
It was an
IDA.
expansion, I'd say about 7 years ago, Chairman Busby.
Mhm.
I think we have 3 years left on those pass-through payments.
So you see that just comes in and
So,
out.
I'm confused, there's $1.5 million
And there's
Mercedes
payment.
pass-through that shows in money coming in,
And
right?
then down
And then it
there,
goes-
it goes right
and then
out,
it goes
it
out
goes right
as
out,
well.
so you technically, it's a
Where's it-
zero, net zero, really, it doesn't, it just flows through the IDA.
Okay.
But you still have the same projected loss.
All right, and then Justice, my really important question is gonna be on your priorities, of course, that was your last slide. Is there anything else we need to know about that you, and there may not be, it's not a loaded question, but in terms of what's big on your horizon for the upcoming year?
In terms of budget needs? or-
Well, budget would be a part of it, I mean, just, and again, your slide covered most of your priorities, I think.
Yeah, I would say there are a couple of things. Number one is, the TechStars program, the knowledge-based jobs that I've spent some time on. We have to reapply to the Innovation Commission, Innovate Alabama, every year for those tax credits. There are, some expenses that we incurred this year, just because it's the first time we did it, that we hope we can build into the tax credit program. So that's one thing. I wouldn't anticipate, it'd probably be around 2.45 million dollars again. Most of that will come from the tax credits that we hope to win. There's also an investment component to that. TCEA intends to invest about 1/12 of the total investment, along with some other private partners, like the University of Alabama, like Alabama Power Company, and a few others, some private individuals, for example. So that's one thing. But then we do have a couple of projects right now that are in finals. There was one that I won't get into too many details in the public setting, but we should be hearing something in the next month about that project. So that's something that we may be back to talk about in terms of some local assistance for that.
Okay, well, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Crowe, any questions or comments before we
Justice,
move on to Karen?
you are asking for a $25,000 increase in the budget this year, right? Over what we've had. With pure, I guess, disclosure, I am a board member of EDA, so I will put that out for the record. But I just wanted to tell the council what a great job that Justice has done over the last couple of years, and I do think as he's been a really good leader, but also I think that the partnerships and the collaboration that's happened in that organization with partners all across the state, you can't do economic development, in my opinion, very well without the city and the county, of course, Northport and Brookwood, everybody in the community supporting, and of course, the city and the county pay the lion's share of all that money. But really, the relationships with Alabama Power, UA, all across the state of, Governor Ivey's been a great supporter of economic development, and Secretary McNair, of course, for us, and Secretary Canfield was too, for that matter. But I think we have been talking for so many years, Mr. Chairman, about trying to pivot a little bit, growing our economy. And I think the community is going to be real excited when they see what is going to happen with this TechStars. The TechStars coming to Tuscaloosa, is a big deal, but I think when we're trying to pivot to knowledge-based jobs, we're trying to find ways to grow our economy that will keep some of our students from all of our universities here in our city and we're looking for ways to kind of grow the economy past, not forgetting what's gotten us here, but looking at the future. I think we are so well positioned with focusing on the assets that the University of Alabama has been gifted through, water and cyber and all the things that are going on. I think this is going to be an exciting time for our community over the next few years, and I think Justice has done a great job there, but I also think that it is time for EDA to grow a little bit. I think they've been a very good steward of the money that the city has given them, but I think it's time that you've got to invest in some more people, a few things to grow the organization to be able to make sure that we are moving forward. So I think it's exciting to hear kind of what's going on and what the vision is that you've got. I think we're in a great spot.
Well, thanks for coming in, thanks for what y'all do on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justice.
Sarah? Come on up, who you got there?
Mike Crady's with me, and then our vice chair of the board, Elizabeth Winters, here as well. Thank you, Elizabeth. I can talk fast, I hope you can listen
You
fast.
can talk slow, just.
Okay. Thank you for allowing us to be here. I just wanted to share the word of the day for us is enhancement, and how can we enhance what we offer currently and to make it a better quality of life for all of our citizens. So as I go through this, just keep that in the back of your mind. Okay, so we're in a PDF, so I'll read this since I can't really see that. Our operational appropriation request is $4.671 million. It's a 3% increase from our current fiscal year. And then the capital request, and I'll touch base on the end of that. One of those y'all touched on in the projects committee, and so we can talk about that in a minute. How will How will the increase in operational funding be used? And again, I talk about enhancing. One of the things that we really want to focus on is youth sport opportunities for girls. We currently have softball offerings, volleyball offerings, but they don't match up to the national level of where other communities are. And so one of the things we'd like to do is to find an athletic director that focuses 100% on girls' sports. Girls have a lot of opportunities. And I think that takes away from some of their youth sport opportunities. They have dance, they have piano, they have all sorts of things, and the boys simply have baseball, football, and basketball for the most part. So we want to focus on girls. That's one of the ways we'd like to use additional funding. Operating hours, we have increased our operating hours at all our facilities. I'll go through this. So the girls there, the funding request at the bottom right-hand corner, $71,120. That is collaborative between the city of Tuscaloosa, the county, and Northwood. So approximately $24,000 would come from the city of Tuscaloosa.
And that's built into that 4.6.
Yes, sir. All of those is built in. We were just highlighting a few of those, the opportunities that we've got. Lifeguard staffing nationwide is a problem. We have been fairly consistent and hovering right above where we need to be, but with potential new opportunities for lifeguards in other areas, private areas. University, actually, we've gone back and forth over the last few years with the university and their aquatics program. They'll go up $1 raise, and so they'll take our lifeguards, and we'll try to go up.
We know the dynamic well.
And so we are actually looking to establish a $15 an hour minimum wage for our lifeguards. That seems like a lot of money, but then when you really look at what our lifeguards do for us, we've had 2 incidents this year, non-aquatic, that they have actually been the first on scene for someone that had a heart attack in the Fawcett Center, and then another incident there in one of our community centers where they're the first on scene before the paramedics can get there, and they do a great job of seeing the triage units for that first responders. So we would like to bring them to $15 an hour, one, to help us stay above the curve with the shortage of lifeguards across. And then a modest 2% cost of living raise for our employees across the board for retention abilities. Safety and accountability. I've been in touch with the chief about our potential for body cameras for our rangers. We've had a few incidences where our rangers have been in touch with someone where they end up using a video phone to record what's going on, and it has helped us because just back and forth, he said, she said stuff, and we are actually gonna put this in our budget regardless of what the community do, and so I just wanted to point that out.
How many rangers do y'all have?
We have 9 rangers, on staff, and I think we've got some part-timers that come in as well. So,
And do y'all put y'all through, in discussing, that capability here at the city, we're talking about putting them through the full, roughly 1 year Alabama law enforcement training, do y'all do that as well?
we do not do that, they don't carry a weapon or anything like that, but just their interactions with a lot of our public, sometimes it can be heated, they're trying to tell somebody they can't access a certain spot.
Or they can't have beer,
Right, or they're at a shelter and they've exceeded something, and so they've got to deal with that, so just having those body
A
cameras.
very cursory discussion we've had is putting them on our Axon system. So we haven't gotten that far, but certainly that'd be something that, if we could satisfy any legal liability or anything like that.
Axon?
Our Axon system, our body
Oh,
camera system.
Axon. Okay.
Yeah, so to give them that type of capability, and so that's something Chief and I have discussed briefly, Brian and I have discussed to see if that could be possible.
Yeah, I mean, I get the law, frankly, I don't know what it's like to have them spooled up like that or not, but there's some friction going on in some of these parks, when somebody's gotta go out there and tell them clear out. Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry. I didn't
No,
mean
no
to
problem.
sidetrack.
Activity center beautification, this is one, just like at your house, every now and then you do have to beautify the fronts or the entrances, and we want to, again, make it an attractive place for people to come. And so this is the McDonald Hughes Center from the front, and very modest shrubs there in front. We'd like to do a little bit more robust throughout all of our park system. So that cost is $125, but again, it's 1/3 of that would go to it's coming out of the city's request, so $41,000. We haven't had the funding to do that in the past, so that's what we're asking for now. Deferred maintenance is another big issue for us. We'd like to dedicate an additional $50,000 to go toward playground safety, and playground maintenance is already involved in the budget. That's not an issue. It's the roofs of our shelters. It's the pavilions that are in need of repair at a lot of our spots that have just kind of been pushed to the side.
But is that gonna be in this 1.5 special
No,
appropriation?
this is
your
not a
main
capital-
operating
correct,
budget.
Correct, because this is not a large enough, one shelter might require $2,500 of repairs, but overall throughout the entire system, it's roughly $50,000. But again, just primarily the shelters and picnic tables and garbage cans throughout all of our parks. And then the largest one that we have is 1.6 million on utilities annually, is what we spend. And so a 1% will increase $160,000 for us. So it's, or no, $16,000. So any swing in the utilities really hits our budget big time. And so we're just asking again jointly $111,000 to offset some of those costs.
Brian, was earlier the slide, the 50,000, is that just city owned, or is that all through the Paris system?
That's all through the Pair system. Yeah, so we can break that down per city if you'd like.
You could.
Yes, we can do that. And again, operating hours and staffing, we did increase our hours at the request of pretty much all our membership. We were closing early when I first started a year and a half ago. So we increased it, and it's been a great response. We built our membership, but obviously opening more hours costs more money for part-time employees and training and things like that. So again, this is a $47,000, roughly $16,000 for the city of Tuscaloosa. A couple other things would be the Junior Golf Academy range equipment. As you know, golf is a growing sport. It continues to grow. And we'd like to continue to offer, top quality experiences for everyone. I can't think of the name of it now off the top of my head.
TrackMan?
The TrackMan, that's it. There it is, at the bottom. TrackMan is about $20,000, $24,000, and that would allow us to do in-depth teaching.
What is track?
It's basically a golf simulator, but it follows your ball, and it allows us to, one, it would allow us to be able to teach indoors when we have bad weather, when it's
Pretty cool.
100 degrees outside, or when it's
Yeah,
raining or
Same
25 degrees, throughout the teaching facility. And as you know, University of Alabama is about to move out of our facility into their $57 million facility. And they are leaving us with a $100,000 gap that we've got to try to create and make up. So there'll probably be some more opportunity within that UA facility that we're looking at.
That gap is in usage fees that they pay?
They pay us $100,000 a year for use of that facility, and when they vacate in a month and a half, then we won't get any more from them. So we're asking $29,000. Again, they have a nice green and a nice area for the range, and so we're gonna have to start maintaining that ourselves instead of using that money that they can pay. And then the capital request, again, you touched on the Belk Activity Center and the flat roof, the $800,000. Obviously, if we're about to go into refurbishing the Belk Center and redoing that, then that goes away.
That's going to be part of the Belk Center,
Right.
what you just authorized.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
No, yeah.
That's what
I
we-
checked
we
on
don't
that
have
when
it,
I
so-
saw that. I want to make sure we weren't doing everything and not hitting the roof.
Right.
I wanted to make sure we
Yeah,
had the
we already
roof.
submitted this, and I talked with Eric
Yeah.
last week. He's like, oh yeah, that's already in there. So,
Okay.
just wanted on that. And again, the Mary Ann Phelps Center, it needs a new roof. At some point, we're gonna have to do that. If we can find that in the request, great. We can continue to, like we did last year, we can continue to defer that a little bit. We can patch. And I know I saw a video the other day of water that was coming around and down some stairs and underneath, but it was not penetrating the roof at that point. It was just outside water. But there's going to be a certain time at some point where we will come to you for that. A fairway mower. We're actually asking for 2 fairway mowers. The county is requesting one from the county. This is very similar to a fire truck. It's not a go out and buy it at the store. It's an 18-month build out. So it's something that if you were to fund it now, those funds would not be needed for 12 to 18 months until we actually got the mower in hand. And then security camera upgrades. We have security cameras at all of our facilities, but they are fast becoming out of use. They're lower tech, and I know we've talked with the mayor as well as the police about how could we potentially incorporate some of our facilities into their system so that we have immediate response if some of these, an incident that would happen. So that's what we're asking for. Any questions?
Thank you. Mr. Wilson, Mr. Crowe, any questions, comments?
So, Brian, the 4,671,000, I think it's 269 or whatever that is, that's like a 3, is that 2 to 3%?
It's 3%.
3% above what we actually allocated for operations last year, right?
Correct, about $136,000 more.
Increase of 136,000, and then that takes, with what's going on at Belk, that takes the special appropriation down to $740,000, $740,888.
Yes.
So last year, remind me, what did we do in a special appropriation? I think I just saw that number. What was it? We do.
188,700.
Did that include the golf tournament funding?
I don't think so.
I bet it.
That would be the McDonald Hughes and Tennis Center special appropriation, and I believe the 35,000 for tennis court resurfacing. That
We
gets to
also had the
188.
golf tournament money
Yes,
too.
We did that.
Which, how much was that? Remind me.
that was roughly 89 to 90.
$100,000.
90,000, 89 to 92, somewhere in there, yes, sir.
And I got 2 quick questions. Sure. Actually, I think I've answered my own. The attendance, I was just looking at this really interesting stuff. 23, right? So calendar year 23.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I saw that tennis increased by 14.5%. Is that tennis center or is that all of? Is there? Tennis centers, I guess, would be an easier one to track.
Yes, I don't know that we can track just
the other courts.
Okay.
Correct.
That's good news.
Yes.
That's really impressive.
And again, when those new courts are finished, I think you're gonna see an increase there as well.
Fantastic. Mr. Tyner's not even here to brag on it.
He will.
All right, well.
As soon as he figures it out.
In the same vein, thank you for being here today, thank you for all that, Para is huge. And Mayor, I think maybe offline, you and I and others can have the conversation. I'm a little confused over what, I mean, when I see McDonald Hughes improvement on the looks of that, what we're doing versus what they're doing. So I think that would just go down in the weeds today, but, it's been a long day already. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Where's Mike? Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
So is Mr. Gardner in here?
I'm sorry.
Let me ask you something. We've got, Eastover and, what we got, Eastover and, Ash Street? Okay. Is that, do you think it's something we do in 10 or 15 minutes, or is that gonna be drawn out?
I think,
Depends on us.
you know, the Eastover thing, I feel real comfortable with it. Ash Street, we've had one previous discussion on it, this is, 500,000 for the sidewalk project. And we were here 2 or 3 months ago asking for approval to apply for the TAP grant back in May.
So let me ask this, because I'm a little worried about time. And Mr. Wilson, Ms. Scruggs, if you think Eastover will be pretty quick, I'd suggest we knock that out today. And then is there any time urgency in terms of starting work on anything with that street?
Well, I think it'll be September before we hear whether we got the grant.
Okay, all right, so can we, I will ask, let's do Eastover now, but then I'm really afraid I'm pushing Mr. Fail out of his admin and policy time.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So Eastover is just south of the interstate. Traveling down Harbor Road, cross over the interstate, it's a residential neighborhood.
Channel 33 used to be there.
Channel 33 was kind of at the top of the hill. This request is for the engineering component only. In this neighborhood, we have quite a bit of corrugated metal pipe, and y'all heard me speak before that, you know, that the lifespan of corrugated metal is, you know, we're lucky to get 20, 30 years out of it. There's some structures that are undersized. So the request today for this part of the capital budget project is to enter into the design, testing, and construction phase services of $350,000. What we'll get out of that obviously is a design and a cost estimate that we can then look for funds in the coming year to fund the construction.
Scruggs, Wilson, any questions, comments? Your motion?
Okay.
Your second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so if, again, Mr. Crowe, Mr. Wilson, are y'all okay moving Ash Street to next week?
Mr. Chairman, I offer a motion that we, to next week.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And, Mike, we'll go into it next week, we'll put it at the front of the schedule, Vicky. So, is there any other business we brought before Finance Committee today?
Motion to
I
adjourn.
appreciate your patience, Mr. Fail, my apologies for cutting into your time.
No problem. We'll start, how about right at about 4:30, if anybody needs
Your
to
second, Mr.
take a
Wilson?
break.
All in favor say aye.